Hi, this is Jen Rubin, and this is Jen Rubin's Green Room. Welcome to the program. Before we get to the guest this week, I wanted to talk about the two political parties. Now, if you had any doubt in your mind that these two things are not alike, the last week should have disabused you of any notion of moral equivalence. Let's see what the Republicans are up to. Poor, hapless Kevin McCarthy cannot get a vote out of his body on any kind of spending bill, let alone the one he agreed to this past summer with the president. So we're now facing a shutdown where ordinary people, hourly wage people, people making a modest income are going to have to be furloughed and not get their paycheck. So it's like being on strike, except you didn't decide to go on strike. The government decided to put you out of work. Then we have the featured impeachment proceedings, which has no facts, which is based upon a debunked theory or a debunked conspiracy that somehow Joe Biden manipulated Burisma to benefit his son. We've been through this a zillion times. There's never been any evidence. They refused to offer any evidence. And there was so little evidence that even Kevin McCarthy couldn't put it to a vote. So he decided we're going to have an inquiry about an impeachment. That is not a thing, folks. That is not a procedure that's recognized. But that's what they're reduced to because they have not even enough votes to do silly, stupid things. Then we have the wonderful portrait of people like Jim Jordan harassing, intruding upon both state and federal prosecutors, threatening them, demanding information, all to interfere with and help Donald Trump. Now, this, you might say, is an abuse of power. This is a weaponization of government. Of course it is. This is what these people travail against. And you have to understand everything with the Republicans is projection. So if they're investigating weaponization, that's what they're doing. They're weaponizing government. And then to kick it all off, you have the former president, 4 times indicted, essentially calling to execute the former Joint Chiefs Chairman, Mark Milley, because he went so far as to try to protect our national security at a time that Donald Trump was threatening not to leave office and was becoming unhinged. This is not the behavior of someone seeking a democratic office. This is fascism. This is when you threaten to kill your opponents, when you threaten to rule with absolute authority, without the rule of law. And has a single Republican objected? Has a single candidate for president said this is outrageous? You can't have someone like this running for president. You know who objected? Cassidy. Yes, Cassidy Hutchinson. She apparently is the only one with a moral center in the Republican Party. Now, switch over to the Democrats. Are the Democrats perfect? No. They should have lifted the filibuster, for example, and passed voting reform. They have been a bit slow on judges. They haven't demanded that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court come forward and explain their lack of ethics. Okay, they're not perfect. But consider this. Robert Menendez gets caught with gold bars and envelopes filled with cash. I could barely get it out because it's so absurd. And the fingerprints of the driver and his co-defendant are on the envelopes. So it does not look good for him. In fact, I think there was a movie, Casino, that had a similar scene with money stuffed in envelopes in closets. But what happens on that end? Well, within a day, you have a whole group of Democratic congressmen from New Jersey, the governor of New Jersey, the state assembly leader of New Jersey, and the state Democratic Party leader telling him to step down. You also have Senator John Fetterman. And within a few days after people are returning from the Yom Kippur break, you have a slew of Democratic senators. When last I looked, there were 18 of them. There haven't been 18 Republicans who have ever said a critical word at all of Donald Trump. And that's the difference between the two parties. You have one that is trying. They are trying to uphold minimal standards of decency, of democracy, of the rule of law. And you have another that is the chaos party, that is the nihilist party, that is the fascist party. And the fact that people are having trouble distinguishing between the two, and that the press treats these as relatively comparable bodies, relatively comparable political parties, is part of what is endangering our democracy. It is the lack of ability to discern the difference between something that is imperfect and something that is malicious and dangerous. And we are in for a load of trouble if the American people cannot make that discernment, cannot make that judgment. And I think what we try to do on this program is shed a little light. And I have now adopted as my mantra Christiana Amanpour's beautiful saying, which is truthfulness, not neutrality. And isn't that a good theme for today's program and for all programs? So if you like this program, please tell your friends, have them follow, have them listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever they get their podcasts.